Introduction. When it comes to attraction, women often communicate their feelings in subtle ways rather than being direct, especially if they are trying not to make their interest too obvious. Female psychology reveals that many women prefer to hide their emotions behind mixed signals, body language, or small gestures, leaving men wondering what they truly mean. A woman may like you deeply but still hold back from showing it openly due to shyness, fear of rejection, or simply wanting you to make the first move. Understanding these hidden signs is crucial because what she doesn't say often speaks louder than words. In this video, we'll uncover the key psychological cues that reveal when a woman likes you but is trying hard to conceal it so you can finally see through the mystery and recognize her true feelings. 1. Steals glances but looks away quickly. When someone steals glances at you but quickly looks away when your eyes meet, it reveals more than just a fleeting action. It is a subtle but powerful insight into human psychology, attraction, and vulnerability. At its core, this behavior reflects a mixture of curiosity, interest, and hesitation. People often express what they feel before they are ready to admit it, and the eyes act as the most honest communicator. When someone keeps glancing at you, it usually indicates that you have captured their attention in a meaningful way. But the quick act of looking away signals a conflict. They want to know more about you, but they are afraid of revealing too much about themselves. This hesitation can stem from shyness, fear of rejection, or the desire to maintain control over their emotions. It may also reflect the inner dialogue of someone who is weighing whether to make their feelings known or keep them hidden. In social psychology, such behavior is categorized as approach avoidance, where a person feels drawn towards someone but simultaneously fears the vulnerability that comes with exposure. For men and women alike, this can be an unconscious act of self-protection, because sustained eye contact is one of the strongest signals of openness and attraction. Looking away quickly creates a veil of mystery, but it can also frustrate the other person who notices it, leaving them unsure whether it was a genuine spark of interest or simply coincidence. Understanding this behavior requires paying attention to patterns. If it happens repeatedly, it is less likely to be random and more likely to suggest hidden feelings. For those who notice someone doing this, the lesson is to balance perception with patience. Don't assume too much from a single glance, but don't ignore the possibility that it reflects deeper attraction. The way you respond also matters. If you catch them looking and you smile gently instead of looking away, you create a safe space that signals acceptance rather than intimidation. This can encourage them to open up more confidently. However, if you ignore it or react harshly, they may retreat further into their shell. Ultimately, stolen glances are a language of attraction spoken by those who are not yet ready to use words. It is a reminder that in human interaction, subtle cues often speak louder than direct conversation. Recognizing them teaches you to read between the lines, to appreciate the silent ways people express interest, and to respect the courage it takes for someone to even allow their feelings to show through something as fragile as a fleeting glance. The deeper lesson is about empathy. Not everyone knows how to communicate their emotions directly, but by observing patiently and responding warmly, you allow genuine connections to grow. What begins as stolen glances can eventually evolve into trust, conversation, and perhaps something more meaningful if you choose to notice and nurture it rather than dismiss it. 2. Acts nervous around you. When someone acts nervous around you, it is often a subtle yet powerful sign of attraction, respect, or emotional investment. And learning to recognize and interpret this behavior can completely shift your understanding of human psychology and relationships. Nervousness is rarely random. It usually shows up when a person feels heightened emotions, especially when they want to make a good impression but are unsure of how they are being perceived. Think about the small cues. A woman who fidgets with her hair, taps her fingers, avoids long eye contact, stumbles over words, or blushes unexpectedly is often revealing that her inner state is not as calm as she tries to appear. This is not a weakness but rather an authentic response to the pressure of wanting to be accepted and valued. Many men misinterpret these signs as disinterest, when in reality, nervous behavior often signals that she cares deeply about the interaction and doesn't want to make a mistake in front of you. Nervous energy in psychology is tied to heightened arousal of the nervous system. Her heart rate increases, adrenaline rises, and this makes her body react in small, involuntary ways. This explains why she may play with jewelry, laugh awkwardly, glance at you quickly then look away, or adjust her clothes for no real reason. Understanding this helps you avoid misreading her behavior and instead respond with calmness, reassurance, and steady energy. If you maintain composure, make her feel safe, and show patience, her nervousness may gradually transform into comfort and trust, which lays the foundation for genuine connection. On a deeper level, the presence of nervousness reveals vulnerability, and vulnerability is the soil where intimacy grows. When someone is nervous, it means they are emotionally invested enough to feel uncertain about the outcome. This is a crucial lesson. Do not see nervousness as a flaw, but as a signal of value. Instead of teasing, mocking, or dismissing, recognize it as courage in disguise, the courage to show up despite fear. You can apply this lesson in your own life by being attentive to body language and subtle shifts in tone. Learning to decode what people cannot always express verbally. Equally important, reflect on your own behavior. Have you ever felt nervous around someone you admired or cared about? Remembering your own experiences helps you approach others with empathy. In relationships, the goal is not to eliminate nervousness, but to create a space where it can soften into comfort and eventually into easeful connection. So, the next time you notice someone acting nervous around you, do not rush to conclusions. Instead, see it as a window into their sincerity. Their restlessness is a quiet confession. They want to be seen by you, valued by you, and perhaps even loved by you. Recognizing and respecting that is the mark of emotional intelligence and maturity. And it transforms what might look like awkwardness into an opportunity for closeness. 3. Tries to seem unbothered in life. You will often encounter people who try to seem unbothered, acting as if nothing can affect them, no matter the situation. On the surface, this looks like strength, detachment, or confidence. But beneath it lies a complex psychological reality worth understanding. The need to appear unbothered is often a defense mechanism, a way of protecting one's vulnerability from the judgment of others. Many people grow up being told that showing emotions is a weakness, so they adopt a mask of indifference to shield their true feelings. They might suppress their disappointment, anger, or even excitement, pretending as though life's ups and downs roll off their shoulders effortlessly. However, this unbothered performance can be misleading, both to themselves and to others. The truth is, everyone cares about something deeply, and pretending not to care can prevent authentic connections from forming. At its healthiest, seeming unbothered can reflect emotional maturity, the ability to remain calm and not overreact. In stressful situations, Stoicism, for example, teaches that you should not let external events dictate your inner peace, but at its unhealthiest, appearing unbothered becomes a shield of pride and ego, blocking growth in genuine relationships. When someone tries hard to look indifferent, they risk bottling up emotions that later explode in destructive ways. The lesson here is balance. It is wise not to let every trivial thing disturb your peace, yet it is equally important not to deny or repress your feelings just to appear strong. True strength is not about pretending to be unaffected. It is about acknowledging your emotions, processing them, and then choosing how to respond with clarity and composure. The person who is truly free is not the one who seems unbothered for the sake of image, but the one who has cultivated resilience and emotional intelligence, so they no longer need to pretend. In relationships, trying to seem unbothered often backfires. For example, someone might ignore their partner to appear detached, hoping it will give them the upper hand, but this often breeds distance and mistrust. The same happens in friendships or workplaces when someone masks their true concerns with indifference. Opportunities for growth and deeper understanding are lost. A better approach is to embrace authenticity, to communicate honestly, to admit when something bothers you, and to show that you care without letting it control you. People respect those who are real, not those who perform an act of indifference. If you find yourself often trying to look unbothered, ask yourself why. Are you afraid of being hurt, judged, or rejected? Do you believe that caring makes you weak? Reflect on this, and you'll realize that caring is not weakness, it's a sign of being alive and connected. The real lesson is this: don't waste your energy trying to seem unbothered just to impress others. Instead, build the inner strength to stay calm, express yourself honestly, and move forward with dignity. That way, you won't need to pretend, because your peace will be genuine. And your confidence will speak for itself. 4. Finds subtle reasons to be near you. One of the most overlooked yet powerful signs of attraction is when someone consistently finds subtle reasons to be near you, even when those reasons seem casual, convenient, or coincidental. Human psychology reveals that proximity is one of the strongest builders of connection. We naturally gravitate toward the people who capture our interest, even if we do not openly express it. When a woman likes you, but wants to hide it, she often engineers opportunities to be close without making it obvious. She may linger in the same room a little longer, show up where she knows you'll be, or invent small excuses like asking for help with something minor or starting light conversation that doesn't really require an answer just to share your space. These behaviors are not random. They are micro-expressions of desire disguised as normal interactions. What's important to understand is that attraction doesn't always unfold with direct confessions or bold moves. Often it hides in these quiet gestures, where presence becomes a language of its own. By being near you, she's allowing herself to feel your energy, study your behavior, and establish a sense of comfort and familiarity. From a Stoic perspective, this subtle pursuit shows how emotions often override rational restraint. She may consciously try to appear uninterested, but her unconscious need for closeness betrays her real feelings. For men, learning to read signals of attraction, noticing proximity patterns is crucial. Does she always choose the seat next to you when other options are available? Does she somehow cross paths with you more often than chance would allow? Does she step closer during conversations, instead of pulling back. Each of these is a sign that she values not just your attention but your presence. However, the lesson here is not to assume every instance of closeness means romantic interests. Sometimes proximity is simply comfort or social habit. The wisdom lies in seeing patterns, not isolated moments. When subtle nearness consistently pairs with other cues such as body orientation, playful banter, or lingering eye contact, it transforms into a strong indicator of hidden attraction. The deeper takeaway for you is to remain observant yet grounded. Instead of rushing to conclusions or confronting her with direct assumptions, respond with openness, warmth, and awareness. Give her space to feel comfortable, and you will notice whether her subtle closeness evolves into something more expressive. Attraction often thrives in the shadows of subtlety before it emerges in the light of clarity. By respecting the silent signals of proximity, you not only learn to read human behavior better but also cultivate patience, discernment, and emotional intelligence, qualities that deepen relationships and help you approach connection with maturity. In truth, when someone finds reasons to be near you, it is less about the excuse and more about the silent statement, "I want to feel close to you, even if I can't say it outright." 5. Teases or lightly challenges you. When a woman teases you or lightly challenges you, it is often one of the clearest signs of playful attraction and interest. Though many men misinterpret it or fail to respond correctly, teasing is a psychological strategy that allows her to test both your sense of humor and your emotional strength, while also creating tension that builds connection. When she makes fun of you in a light-hearted way, she is not trying to insult you but rather checking to see if you can handle pressure without becoming defensive, insecure, or overly serious. In human psychology, teasing operates as a fitness test, a way of gauging whether you are confident, adaptable, and capable of keeping the interaction fun. For example, if she makes a playful remark about your haircut, your style, or even calls you out for something silly, she wants to see if you can respond with charm and composure rather than sulking or overreacting. A man who laughs with her, teases back, or playfully owns the joke communicates strength and confidence. On the other hand, if you take offense to easily or try too hard to prove yourself, you fail the unspoken test of resilience. Light challenges work in a similar way. She might question your opinion, disagree with you on purpose, or put you in a situation where you need to stand your ground. Again, the goal is not to humiliate you, but to measure whether you have conviction and backbone. Women are naturally drawn to men who do not fold under slight pressure, because this signals leadership qualities and emotional maturity. Think of it as her way of shaking the tree to see if you are rooted firmly. If you collapse, she subconsciously feels that you lack stability, but if you hold steady without being arrogant or aggressive, she gains respect and attraction for you. The key is balance. Respond with a mix of humor and calm authority, never letting small challenges threaten your composure. The deeper psychology behind this behavior is that attraction thrives on tension, play, and polarity. Teasing introduces all three at once. Tension because you are put on the spot. Play because it is wrapped in humor, and polarity because it creates a spark of push and pull energy between you. Men who understand this dynamic learn not to fear teasing, but to embrace it as an opportunity to show they are grounded, witty, and emotionally secure. Instead of seeing it as an obstacle, you should see it as an invitation. Every joke, every challenge, and every playful jab is her way of saying, "I want to see if you're the kind of man I can respect and have fun with." By responding lightly, confidently, and with self-control, you not only pass her test, but also increase attraction, because you show her that you can lead with strength while keeping things enjoyable. 6. Remember small details. One of the most powerful yet underrated qualities a person can have is the ability to remember small details. At first glance it may seem like a minor skill, but in truth it reveals much about one's attentiveness, emotional intelligence, and value in relationships. When someone recalls small details about another person, the way they take their coffee, the story they once shared about their childhood, or even their subtle preferences, it communicates something far deeper than memory. It signals that they were truly listening, that they paid attention, and that the other person mattered enough to leave an imprint on their mind. In human interactions, this creates a profound sense of validation because most people feel overlooked or unheard in a world that is often rushed and distracted. Remembering details is not about having a sharp memory. It is about cultivating genuine interest in others. It is a conscious act of presence, where one chooses to observe, engage, and store meaningful fragments of conversation. This practice builds trust, strengthens bonds, and sets one apart in personal, professional, and even romantic contexts. For example, in friendships, recalling a detail about a past struggle shows empathy and loyalty. In leadership, remembering team members' small wins or personal milestones fosters morale and respect. In relationships, it reassures a partner that their inner world is seen and valued. The art of remembering small details is not about perfection but about intentionality. It requires slowing down, being present, and training oneself to listen actively rather than passively. By doing so, you create connections that are not surface level, but rooted in depth and authenticity. This lesson reminds us that greatness in relationships is not achieved by grand gestures alone, but often by small acts of remembrance that whisper, "I see you, I hear you, and you matter." 7. Gets protective or jealous. When someone becomes protective or shows signs of jealousy, it reveals a powerful aspect of human psychology tied to attachment, emotions, and fear of loss. At its root, protectiveness often comes from a place of care and genuine concern, where a person wants to ensure the safety, well-being, and happiness of someone they value. For example, if a man sees someone disrespecting the woman he cares for, his protective instinct naturally rises, not because he doubts her strength, but because he feels a deep responsibility toward her. On the other hand, jealousy stems from insecurity and the fear that someone else may replace or take away the bond that person treasures. These two responses, though different, are deeply interconnected, and understanding their subtle differences can help us grow emotionally and build healthier relationships. Protectiveness, when expressed maturely, can strengthen a bond by showing loyalty, dependability, and love. It can make someone feel cherished and safe, knowing their partner or loved one has their back no matter what. However, when protectiveness crosses into controlling behavior, it ceases to be love-driven and instead becomes possessive, limiting freedom and trust. Similarly, jealousy is not inherently negative. It can be a natural emotional signal that alerts us to something important. In our relationships, a small dose of jealousy can even reaffirm how much we value someone. But when jealousy is left unchecked, it can become toxic, leading to accusations, emotional manipulation, or attempts to control the other person's choices. The key lesson lies in awareness. We must learn to distinguish between healthy protectiveness that arises from love and harmful jealousy that arises from fear. A Stoic approach teaches us that true strength comes from self-control, not from trying to control others. When you feel protective, let it manifest as support, encouragement, and loyalty. When you feel jealousy, examine it inwardly yourself, whether it comes from genuine love or from personal insecurity. This introspection prevents destructive behaviors and turns those emotions into opportunities for growth. A healthy relationship thrives not on ownership but on freedom, trust, and mutual respect. If you feel protective, show it in actions that uplift the other person rather than cage them in. If you feel jealous, communicate openly rather than let silent resentment build. At its best, protectiveness and even mild jealousy can be signs of deep affection, but only when handled with maturity and balance. The ultimate lesson is this: do not suppress these emotions, but master them. Transform protectiveness into care and reassurance, and transform jealousy into self-reflection and deeper connection. By doing so, you not only honor the person you love, but also strengthen your own emotional discipline. In the end, the one who truly wins in love is not the one who controls or clings, but the one who trusts, protects wisely, and remains secure within themselves. 8. Engages in indirect communication. Indirect communication is a subtle but powerful style of interaction where thoughts, feelings, and intentions are not expressed openly or directly, but instead hinted at through tone, body language, implication, or suggestion. Understanding this dynamic is essential for navigating relationships, workplace settings, and social interactions because it reveals how people often communicate more through what is left unsaid than through the actual words they speak. A person who engages in indirect communication may avoid confrontation or blunt honesty, choosing instead to imply dissatisfaction through silence, sarcasm, or passive gestures such as sighs, pauses, or avoiding eye contact. This style often develops as a coping mechanism in environments where directness is discouraged or viewed as disrespectful, or in cultures that value harmony and subtlety over open confrontation. While it can protect relationships from unnecessary conflict, it also carries the risk of creating misunderstandings, since the receiver of the message must interpret hidden meanings, leading to miscommunication and tension. For example, rather than telling a colleague, "I need your report by 3 p.m., an indirect communicator might say, "It would be really helpful if the report came sooner rather than later," leaving room for misinterpretation. In personal